Notice of public hearing by the Town Board of the Town of Stafford, New York, to consider adopting a proposed local law number 1 of 2018. Public notice is hereby given that there has been presented to the Town Board of the Town of Stafford, New York, on the 11th day of December 2017, proposed local law number 1 of 2018, entitled Town of Stafford Solar Farm Moratorium Extension of 2018. Said local law will allow the Town of Stafford to study legislation to regulate the installation of solar farms within the town. Please take further notice that on the 8th day of January 2018, 7:15 o'clock in the afternoon of that day, the Town Board of the Town of Stafford, New York, will conduct a public hearing at the Stafford Town Hall located at 8903 Route 237 in the Town of Stafford, New York, for the purpose of considering the advisability of enacting said proposed local law, at which time and place all persons interested will be heard. A copy of said proposed local law is on file in the office of the Stafford Town Clerk, 8903 Route 237, Stafford, New York, and is open for inspection during regular business hours. Dated Stafford, New York, December 11th, 2017. Walter Kershensky, Town Clerk, Town of Stafford. Does anyone wish to speak, have some comments about this? Yeah.
Yeah, hello everyone again. I'm Dan Compitello, Zoning and Outreach Manager with Cypress Creek Renewables. We're attending tonight to show support for the extension on the moratorium. We've been kind of following, thanks Don. Yep. We've been following the progress of the code development for the past few months, and given that the town needs more time to draft the code, we think that that's definitely the right thing to do, is to extend the moratorium. We would like to see if to get some sort of feedback on where the progress of the code development is right now, and get an understanding if there is a draft code at this point, and where the town kind of feels what the plan is going to be over the next 6 months throughout the moratorium.
There is no draft code at this time.
Got it. Okay. I think in the last few workshops that have been held by the Solar Code Committee, there were a couple sample codes that were looked at. What we are planning to do over I guess the next couple of months, and I think this will probably happen in February, maybe March, is to actually host a kind of an open house Q&A session that we've been invited to do. So we're looking for some other solar developers that are active in the area to attend that panel, and we can go through a Q&A of what community solar is, how it's new in New York State, and also talk about some projects that we've had approved and are actually building in the state this year, to kind of look at those as examples. We have 2 projects that are underway, under construction now in Batavia, which we had approved last summer. Those will probably be built, I think, I'd say around May or June of this year. So they're very close to the Town of Stafford. We would recommend a look at Batavia's code. It's a really solid code that we were definitely able to build under. Also tonight I'm here with Don Young, who I would like to, will be co-presenting on that panel. And Don is from Boylan Code, based in Rochester. And Boylan Code has assisted us as our local land use council across most of upstate and western New York. Don and I are both from Rochester. And what we do is we've worked with a lot of towns that are writing codes, providing code comments or sample codes to towns. Don has actually helped on some of the approval processes of those towns, approval processes for I think 6 different solar farms in the state. Mm-hmm. And Don also has experience in actually drafting the solar code for the town of Henrietta, which we can definitely offer as an example code for that. So we would like to both encourage the town, but also to adopt this moratorium. But we will definitely try to help in any way we can throughout the process.
Yeah, we definitely extend to the extent you can use our experience in any way. We would definitely extend an offer to help. I'm in the unique situation of assisting Cypress Creek on a lot of their solar developments, but also I represent a number of municipalities around the state, around western New York, and have assisted in drafting a number of different codes, from hydrofracking codes to wind codes to solar codes. So if you have I think you might have a code committee or something like that, and I'd be, to the extent I can be a resource or offer sort of some insight. Again, you know, I'm here on behalf of Cypress Creek, but I also have experience representing municipalities and drafting codes. I see you have an Association of Towns poster up there, and I think I may have met one of you there. Were you at one of the recent Association of Towns meetings? Yeah, I thought so. So I also go around New York State and present to municipal officials on land use and zoning and code drafting and things like that. So it's really something I'm into. So if again, if we can be of any assistance in helping your code committee along, you know, please let us know, and we'll do what we can. How long are you looking to, how long has your moratorium been in place?
It will expire next month.
And how long has it been there for, about?
When did it start, May?
Okay.
9 months, I think.
9
It
months?
was for 9 months.
It was 9 months.
And you're looking to extend it by 6, or?
Yeah,
Okay,
I see no reason to go any further.
good.
With your assistance, of course. If we need it, we'll be glad to ask you.
Sure, thank you.
What other people have done is important too.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of I'm sure you already know this, but you'll find a lot of codes are just versions of other codes that have been revised in some way or added onto or chopped up a little bit. Yeah.
Anyone else have anything?
I just want to thank Dan and Don for their offers, and I am looking forward to having Dan's company and a couple of other companies come and talk to us, and possibly opening up that meeting to the townspeople so that they could also get in on it and ask questions. We do have a couple of suggested solar codes that have been given us by the county, and so other things that you may have to for us to look over would be of great interest. So we thank you for that. Are there any other questions? We are meeting. We're going to start meeting again after this holiday season on the 9th. On Tuesday the 16th. And we'll be meeting quite often after that, and then within a month and a half or so we probably will have this group meeting where we try to understand what the companies are offering and what they want to do in the town. With that, are there any other questions about the group? We have divided our all of the pieces of information that people want to inquire about with 6 people on the committee, and they're slowly coming to some idea of what they want to present to each other, and we're going to be planning that further next Tuesday night.
Who's on the committee again?
Luann McKenzie, no, I'm gonna, Lowell Lane from that end of the town. Let's see, Lindsay Yoder, who is on the planning board, and Len Jasinski, and he is an engineer, and somebody else. Oh, Reverend Colleen O'Connor, who's a wonderful writer and very interested in this topic.
Very good. As usual, for a small town, we seem to pull some real talent out. I don't know what it is, but because one of them is what, a civil engineer,
Yes.
the one from up here.
And
And
Lowell
then Lenny worked for Niagara Mohawk.
and he's basically an engineer,
Yeah.
and knows a lot about electricity. And Luann is a farmer and very interested, and Lindsay's an architect. So we have some really good people.
Well done. I have a question. If we do build one of these, is anybody gonna be looking for a pilot?
I think that's, yeah, typically that is commonly done for projects like this across the state. For the two projects in Batavia, we are going down, addressing it through a pilot there. Right now, there's a property tax exemption in New York State that allows towns have to opt out of that that property tax exemption, called Article 487. If they do stay within the exemption, though, they can still seek a pilot, which is a payment in lieu of taxes. So even though that exemption would still be there for a 20-year period, they could, a town or any jurisdiction could pursue a pilot for 15 or 20 years throughout the course of that exemption. So we do see that in Genesee County, pretty much every county in upstate New York that we're working in. That's the approach that's typically being taken right now. We would also probably, one of the things that we do see is that in addition to writing a solar law, it doesn't have to happen in conjunction with writing the solar law, but some towns do write a pilot law specifically addressing how that will happen, whether the town would want to address that on its own or work with the county and regional industrial development agency to coordinate that.
All right. Normally, you do a pilot to attract jobs, to attract something. What are we attracting here?
Well, I think it's something, it's not necessary to do a pilot for these projects. What you're attracting, the purpose of the pilot is to assess, make a special assessment essentially on the solar system itself. The benefits of that are that each solar system can power about 300 to 600 homes locally in the area at a discounted rate than current electricity charges are for a fixed rate for the life cycle of that solar farm. So that can be up to 40 years. That renewable energy source is locally distributed here at a cost savings to local residents and small businesses. The projects also have very little impact on land and the environment. They're installed as easily as they can be taken out, essentially. There's no concrete used, there's no real permanent change of use in the land. And it is renewable energy that does stay here in the community. It doesn't get transmitted out, downstate or out of state. One of the other benefits is that the payments do support landowners here, oftentimes helping them, grow their, support their local farming operations if it's on farmland, and a lot of other benefits too. I'm kind of drawing a blank. I get really nervous when I'm on TV. But
I agree with about your last 4 or 5 sentences.
I can, if I could.
I agree with you there. But from the flip side, you're going to have a heck of a time convincing at least me that we should have a pilot.
Yeah, can I jump on that for a minute? So I think what you were when you asked what are the benefits of a pilot in this situation, and I think your comparison is like an IDA pilot, right?
No.
No?
I'm asking what benefits do you bring that would intrigue us to offer a pilot?
Well, so the default is that it's tax exempt. So the intrigue for you would be that you would get tax payments by way of a pilot as opposed to having completely tax exempt property. So in this instance, as opposed to an IDA situation where we'll give you a pilot if you come and build something and you bring us jobs, that's different because in this situation, by default, the solar project would be tax exempt.
Tax exempt per...
Unless you exempt, per real property tax law. Yeah, unless you opt out of that, in which case it's taxable and we're not talking about a pilot anymore. You're just taxing it based on its value. So in this case, it's different than the IDA situation because it's tax exempt, but it provides for the opportunity for the town to enter into a pilot so it can still recover some revenue from it by way of the pilot as opposed to taxes.
So actually, it can be all three. It can be tax exempt,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a pilot,
Yeah,
or we can just tax it.
that's right. You got it.
All right.
Back
Well-
back to your original question, where's the incentive? Just opt out.
No, and I'm sure there are some projects that we would be wildly enthused to make it tax exempt. This isn't one of them. We also may decide on a pilot, but it's doubtful. And then the other option is just taxing it like you tax everybody else here.
Yeah, I would just offer also that I think the reason why New York state law exempts it by default follows the state's general support of these solar developments by NYSERDA, for example, and offering financial incentives, and also the federal government also supports it. If you do some searching around, you'll see NYSERDA is very much in favor of the solar development. So I think that's why the state of the law is the way that it is, that by default it would be tax exempt. Then you have the middle option, the pilot, and then the full, the other spend and spectrum would be a taxable development.
If I just may say that I think that a lot of this stuff can be debated at the meeting that we're going to be having in February, hopefully early February, but possibly middle of February. And we'll really be able to lay a lot of this out, and I hope that all of the people on the town board would be able to attend and get it hashed through so we all understand where we're coming from.
Yeah, and there already is some discussion in Genesee County about other towns and how they're addressing this too. So I would definitely encourage you to get in touch with the county IDA about that and see where the progress of those discussions are going in other towns too. I think that it is probably more often than not that the towns will stay within the exemption and seek a pilot in Genesee County. It may. It's definitely a discussion to have down the road with the town board and the town specifically around that, but it does have implications on the feasibility of the project itself. So they may or may not be possible in some cases without a pilot. So by opting out, you may be turning away solar in that sense.
Regarding offering electricity power to your community, our community, what's in it for us? How much? What other towns have taken up the offer?
Yeah, so many of them have. We have 14 projects underway right now across the state. There are probably a few hundred more being built that will be built over the next year. The direct benefits to local customers are that they get, there is it's anywhere from a 10 to 20% discount on the electricity part of the utility bill, and that's fixed for, I believe it's an initial period of 20 years. So there's a direct cost savings to customers when they sign up. The rates don't fluctuate. And you're getting renewable energy that's sourced right here in the town.
Were there any communities that said, no, we don't want to be bothered with what you're offering, even if it sounds kind of stupid from the savings?
No, we haven't come across any communities that don't want to see this happen. What we do find are communities where there are specific ways they want to see it happen, and so they can do that by writing a solar law to regulate the systems, which is what the town is doing now. But yeah, to answer your question, I haven't seen any towns that have said, no, we absolutely don't want solar in our town, anywhere in New York State.
Any further questions or comments? We'll close the public hearing at 7:35.